Hello, this is Bob Gray Sr. Welcome to Ministry Moments. And you can go to Ministry Moments YouTube and subscribe there. That way, this broadcast goes every Friday at 3 o'clock Central Time. That way, you'll get it automatically. And so just simply go to Ministry Moments YouTube and subscribe. And that way, you'll get it every week. And then also, I suggest you go to solvechurchproblems.com. There's a myriad of things there that'll be of help to you. And so go to solvechurchproblems.com and you'll be glad that you did. The question and answer section of that thing alone is well worth it. But I hope that you'll do that. Now today, I want to talk to you about anti-growth factors. Anti-growth factors. Somewhere in here, what happened in the 60s, 70s, and 80s with fundamentalism is not something unique to that time. But it should not be unique to this time. But we've got to understand there are some common denominators here that were alive and well in those days that should be alive and well now, and they will automatically produce that which we had in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So I want to give you some anti-growth factors and some things I think maybe you take note of that might be of help to you. Number one, no soul winning pastor. Now, those pastors of the past were all personal soul winners. All of them were. And all of them were very active in winning souls. So I'm going to suggest to you that an anti-growth factor is no soul winning pastor. You've got to be a soul winning pastor. I would suggest now that you set aside or each week say, look, I've got a goal of 15 soul winning presentations. Have 5 lined up by Saturday night that said they will come with you. I'm not saying all 15 get saved, but give the gospel to 15 different people. Have 5 lined up by Saturday night whom you will go by and pick up on Sunday morning. On an average, 2 will come and 1 will get baptized. Now, the secret to it is what I call loading the wagon. If you don't get the other 4 in the water, you've still got Sunday night and Wednesday night, but you got the next week. Now, if you do it again, give out the gospel 15 times again, and have another 5 lined up on the next Saturday again, and have pick up 2 on average again, and you'll have 1 of those that get baptized. Now, the great thing about this is that you're loading the wagon, which means you've got potential. I remember one Sunday morning, I walked in, choir lined up, they were ready to go in, and 70-voice choir, 40-piece orchestra, great music. And we're there, got in, and the staff is standing there, and I said, fellas, you're going to see something you've never seen before. I don't have 1 convert this morning, not 1. And we laughed about it, and they kind of jousted me a little bit. So we went out. Well, during handshaking, Brother Bowen come running up and asked me if I recognized a certain name. And I said, it's a Polish name. I can't even pronounce it. And I said, yes, I do. And he said, well, he said to tell you he's here this morning. And I led to Christ 3 months prior. Boy, God pulled my bacon out of the fire. But I'm just saying, no soul winning pastor. That is an anti-growth factor. Number 2, no soul winning staff, whether volunteer or paid. No soul winning staff. My thing was, I said, be visible. If you're going to teach Sunday school, then you be visible on Thursday night soul winning. If you're going to be a paid staff member, you be visible on Thursday night. You be visible. You be here. I want people to see you here. Come early, shake hands, greet people. I want you to do that. Now, so anti-growth factors. Number 1, no soul winning pastor. Number 2, no soul winning staff, volunteer or paid. And the secret, be visible. I want to see you there. All right. Number 3, no altar call organization. We would line in the center aisle and the other aisles. We had 12 sections of lower floor, 10 sections of balcony. And we would male men, and men lined up and ladies lined up. And then the other aisle, men, women, other aisle, men, women, and across the front. Now, we organized it. We organized the soul winning. And by the way, we would practice it too. All right. So I said, number 1, I told you anti-growth. You want to kill the growth? No soul winning pastor will do it. Number 2, no soul winning staff, volunteer or paid. Be visible. Be visible. Number 3, no altar call organization. We would number 4, no altar workers. No altar workers. If you don't organize name takers, altar workers, and all of that, you're not going to be productive. You're not going to be. It's very, very important. The average church, I discovered, would get 35% of their folks that walk the aisle in the water. Dr. Roberts, you laugh about that. Bob Grady, get them in the water, get them in the water. But at our church, we read about 85%. But it's because we were organized. We had the men there, we had the ladies there, we had the altar workers there. We were ready to go. All right. Number 5, no name takers. I'm talking about anti-growth factors, no name takers. You've got to have ladies at the end of each front pew that have a small clipboard filled with decision slips. Oh, I would go in there Saturday night. I pray over every pew in that auditorium. If I didn't see those things full, I called Brother Duckett right away. Brother Duckett, the decision slips. It's not. I wanted it full. With barely put the clipboard over it. I wanted to be ready. I wanted God to know that I was ready. All right. Anti-growth factors. Number 1, no soul winning pastor. Shame on you, pastor. If you're not winning souls, shame on you. If you're not picking up converts and getting them there on Sunday morning, shame on you. Number 2, be an example. Number 2, no soul winning staff, volunteer or paid. Be visible. Pastor, be visible. Now, I would preach out on Monday and Tuesday, fly back on Wednesday, but I would not preach on Thursday and Friday. Maybe once a year, but I would do it because I wanted to lead that church-wide soul winning. All right. No soul winning pastor, no soul winning staff, volunteer or paid. Be visible. Number 3, no altar call organization. Organize that altar call. Number 4, no altar workers. Line up the men, line up the ladies. Have them ready to deal with converts that are at the altar. Next, no name takers. Be ready. When our soul winners would walk the people down and they'd pray with the altar, we'd have them sit down next to the name taker. Then a pastor would come over, introduce himself, and introduce the convert to the lady. Say, this is Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones, to get the information down, in case you may want to call us one day, say, hey, when was that date that I got saved down there? And so give her your information. She would fill it out, and then I would talk to them, or a pastoral staff member would talk to them about baptism after all of that was done. Okay. I'm talking about anti-growth. You want to kill the growth? You don't want to have growth? Then let me tell you what anti-growth factors are obvious. Number 1, no soul winning pastor. Shame on you. Number 2, no soul winning staff, paid or volunteer. Be visible. They've got to be visible. Number 3, no altar call organization. Number 4, no altar workers, men and women lined up, ready to take them upstairs for baptism. Number 5, no name takers. Have name takers with clipboards. We put the clipboards under the front pew. And so they would reach down, pull it out, and have it in their hand, be ready. When they got done, they put it back under there. And then we made sure that the decision slips were filled up. All right, next, no water in the baptistry. Huh, that's a shocker, isn't it? A Baptist church with no water in the baptistry, yet it happens. And you be ready. You have water in that baptistry. Next, no baptismal robes or towels or hairnets. You've got to have this. You've got to be ready. And if you're going to build an auditorium, build extra booths up there, not booths, but booths, so that you've got where they can change. Have a lot of. We'd had to use Sunday school rooms because our auditorium was not built for that. So we then would use Sunday school rooms and line up where people would change, get ready for baptism. We baptized 4,464 people the last year I pastored. So I'm not talking about some ivory tower thing or speculation. I'm just telling you what we did and it worked. It worked, and it'll work again too. All right. So I said, number 1, no soul winning pastor. That's anti-growth. Number 2, no soul winning staff, whether paid or volunteer. That's anti-growth. It's got to be visible. Number 3, no altar call organization. That's anti-growth. Next, no altar workers, men, women lined up, ready to deal with converts, take them to the baptistry changing rooms. All right. No name takers. Have ladies at the end of each of the aisles and have a clipboard underneath and a little holder where they can reach down, take it out, and ready to fill out the decision slip. And then, Pastor, you make sure they're full by Saturday night. You go by and check them out. Check and make sure they are. All right. No water in the baptistry. It's hard to baptize if you don't have any water in the baptistry. Next, no baptismal roll, towels, hairnets, and so on. You've got to have that. Next, no bus ministry. Yeah, that's right. No bus ministry. You wonder why in the world it was such a blessing in the 60s, 70s, 80s, because call the poor, the halt, the blind, the lame. It's exactly what on the highways and hedges, compel them to come in. That's the bus ministry. Get back with it. Oh, you've hid behind this COVID thing enough. Now get out and get with it. People still dying, going to hell, if it's COVID or no COVID. Now you get out there and start knocking on doors and get that bus ministry going again. Get it going again. Preach it, teach it, inspire the people about it. Next, no missions program. You've got to have a missions program. God will smile on you. financially. God will take care of you. Now, I think this. I know a tithe is right. It's 10%. I know that's right. Uh, you've robbed in tithes and offerings. So I think the offerings ought to be percentages. I know this, it's just going to be a stretch. It's grayology. But I think every local church ought to tithe the missions. I wanted that benchmark to me was 10% plus. I wanted more than that for missions. We gave $9.3 million in 29 and a half years to missions. We started over 1,700 churches, according to Richard Hitt, our missions director, who's in heaven now. And I'm just saying to you, you've got to have a strong missions program. I knew nothing about missions, but I had to learn about it. And I did. And I learned from the best. All right. Anti-growth factors. You liked it in the 60s. You liked reading about the 70s. You liked the thing of the 80s and what was going on, the soul saved and so on and so forth. Now, rather than you picking it apart, why don't you decide to learn from it? Now, what are some anti-growth factors that I've noticed? All right, here we go. Number one, no soul winning pastor. Number two, no soul winning staff. Be visible. Number three, no altar call organization. Number four, no altar workers. Number five, no name takers ready to take names down. Number six, no water in the baptistry. Number seven, no baptismal rolls, towels, or hairnets for those getting ready to get baptized. All right, no bus ministry. Next, no missions program. Last of all, number 10, no baptisms. How in the world can you go week in and week out and not baptize any converts? What in the world is the matter? There's something wrong. You better go back and check it out, Pastor. If nothing else, rather than you get mad at your people, why don't you get mad at yourself? Why don't you look in the mirror and say, hey, where was your convert today? Put the pressure on yourself. You see, every time I had picked up converts ready for the water, and I brought church and done that, but I could preach. Oh, man, preach up a storm. But I wasn't mad at the people. If I didn't produce, I get mad at me. That's why every Sunday I had at least one convert down the aisle and in the water. You've got to do it. You've got to do it. Now, I had double pneumonia one time, and I was laid up for 6 weeks, and my string was broke then. But for 29 years, I did every Sunday, convert down in the water. I'm just telling you, God bless you. You stir those waters, God is pleased with that. You stir those waters and you'll get God's attention. You stir those waters and God will invest in you. As long as you're chasing sinners, God will pay the travel expense. All right. I've given you some anti-growth factors. I know what it was like in the 60s, and it was fabulous. I know what it was like in the 70s, and it was tremendous. I know what it was like in the 80s. Fantastic. I know what God did at the Longview Baptist Temple. It's for real. Throw anything you want at it. I know you throw enough mud, you think something will stick, but it was real. It was real. It was real. And God blessed. Now, I've given you some anti-growth factors to consider, and write them all down. Think about listening to this broadcast. Go back and start the broadcast over again and write all this down. And then ask God to help you, and he'll help you. He's not a respecter of persons. He wants to do it in your ministry just as much as he did to Jack Hiles and Tom Malone, Lee Robertson, Curtis Hudson, all those great men. He wants to do it in your ministry. He'll do what we did here. And Lord, do it again. God bless you. Thank you for being a part of this Ministry Moments broadcast. If you haven't already, subscribe now. You make sure you subscribe to Ministry Moments YouTube. That way you'll get it every week. We have a broadcast 3 o'clock Central Time. It's not lengthy, but very, I think, points that you'll be able to write down and think about and pray over. And so maybe it might provoke you a little bit. We're supposed to provoke one another. God bless you. Have a great weekend of soul winning. Win people to Christ. Line them up. Get them down the aisle on Sunday morning. God bless you.